Gil. How are you? It is my distinct pleasure to be here with Gil Magno, the author of, can I have that book, Gil? Developing Confidence and Personal Magnetism. This wonderful book, and this book as well, The Road to Victory. So, Gil, can you tell me a little bit about how people start with this book? What is the course that goes along with it that you teach? You're a personal coach. You can do this book alone, correct?
Yeah, anyone can do this book by himself. However, this book is the textbook for a course which I created called course number 5, the famous course number 5, or infamous. Called Self-Transformation Through Personal Magnetism. And it's geared at a full transformation. So that's the textbook that goes with it. Now this one, The Road to Victory, is the textbook for the continuation of Course 5, which is Course 5A, In Tune with Self Through Spiritual Science. That's a pretty heavy course and very, very interesting.
Well, I know I can vouch for that because I'm a student of both and completed both, and that's why I want to
You're
help.
my best student in Miami.
Thank you. That's why I want to tell people about it, because it has made such a difference in my life, and I know that it has in many of all of your students that have taken it. You have tremendous testimonials from people all over the world that you've helped.
Yeah.
Why do you think what is the difference between this and other courses that are out there? Why is yours so special?
The difference between this and this, or this and the courses out there?
What makes these different for this?
Oh, okay, all right. First, you don't have to spend hours practicing this stuff. In personal magnetism, we have a system where you are practicing, but you are turning that activity into a habit. So it doesn't take time installing something as a habit. If I tell someone, well, the reason why you're not sounding well when singing is that your throat is not open, so he proceeds to open the throat a little bit every time he practices, and it turns into a habit.
So it's really a different way of looking at things,
Yeah,
and being aware.
Right. And
it changes your outlook, I think.
Yes, and more than that, it goes into areas that I myself sometimes can't understand. When I started working on this and this, excuse me, the techniques, especially using the voice, because the voice is the crystallization of thought. When I saw that, something happened. And I got these people to just speak and talk in a certain way as themselves, not as to entertain the audience. You don't shake hands. That's the difference between other courses. Is in other courses they tell you things that are everyday things that everybody knows. Oh, you gotta be in good posture, smile, and this and that's immaterial stuff. Of course, we all know that you have to smile.
It doesn't change the way you feel inside.
Right.
So it's like a false persona.
Yes, this develops your real person. And that's where the secret lies. If you were to eliminate, and now I'm talking about this course 5, the course 5, course 5A, if you were to eliminate all the negativity that has come into us through the genes and through the aberrations of childhood and living in this particular civilization. If we could just eliminate that negative stuff and do nothing about the positive stuff would be there. Because spiritually, you are totally good.
So can you give me an example of what you mean by an aberration from childhood? Like, let's say a child gets reprimanded for not cleaning up the room, or pushing another child down.
Yeah. Well,
which is
that example you gave is not strong enough to become a real aberration. But there are more dangerous aberrations. For example, I don't want to go into the lies because every time I do I get in trouble. uh, Things that we were told in childhood, I know I did because I was brought up in another country. And my father, of course, he was a great man and he kept my head straight. But you know, we heard things, you know, religious things and the devil and all kinds of things like that, just to give you an idea. And all of that becomes part of you, these aberrations. Even when you fall and hurt yourself, that becomes recorded in the subconscious, and you have to eliminate all that stuff in order to achieve spiritual freedom. And there are different techniques to eliminate that stuff. That's part of the thing. Now, I try to eliminate those problems in Course 5 using this book, because when you go into 5A, you're already out in Cloud 9 out there.
And part of what you use for Course 5 is, I know, EFT, or emotional freedom technique, also known as tapping.
Yeah, I use regressions too, but it takes too long. EFT is so simple and it goes right to the point. Now, sometimes we can't find something, so I use regressions, but be careful, I don't hypnotize. I don't believe in hypnotism, and I don't think anyone should be hypnotized. But the word hypnosis doesn't mean what it really is nowadays. People, if I ask you to close your eyes and go back to the time when you had breakfast this morning, that's not hypnosis. But that's what they call hypnosis. So you've got to know all these differences, because the world right now is full of lies. All kinds of lies. Even in this area of self-improvement. Even in the spiritual area.
Well, I know one thing I really admire about you is that you say, don't believe me. Just, you know, test everything for yourself.
Yes. One of my mentors is Krishnamurti. And he said that. I'm not saying it because he said it, because he was the first one to say, don't do or say anything because I say it. And that's always been with me anyway, but I'm happy that he did it, that he said that, because I tell all my students. In fact, it's in the material in there. It says, don't believe anything I say. Read it, think about it, look at it, try it, and see if it's true for you. And if it's true, you'll know it. And how do you differentiate between truth and lies? Very simple. You don't have to have scientific courses and all that. Truth is anything that works for you. That's it.
That makes it simple.
Yeah.
I think that's so important, because nowadays there's so much information, and people don't know, or they just hear something and say, oh, that must be true. And I think that's very dangerous.
Yeah.
So I think that's helped me a lot, remembering to having, and just the exercises that we've done, it really strengthens you to know who you are, and know how to deal with society, and to not be influenced by.
So we do this first in Course 5, because Course 5 puts you on the ground with confidence, your feet flat on the ground, because when you go into 5A, you're going into a different dimension. And if you don't have your feet on the ground, you're going to get very confused. You know, you did it, but you had your feet on the ground.
Right, right.
And this one I love also because it really goes into a different dimension. Let me give you an example, if I may, because I love this. This just came to me intuitively this morning when I woke up. And I didn't know it until my first student today. It just came. Now, let's say that you are in Miami, and your intention is to travel to Boston. And for some reason, maybe you got drunk last night or something, for some reason, you no longer remember where you are. So how can you decide where to go? You don't know how to get to Boston? Well, all of us on this planet have forgotten what we are doing here. We forgot how we were created. We forgot where we are. Of course, I'm speaking allegorically. And because we don't know where we are, we don't know where we are going. I want to go to Boston, but I can't, I don't know where I am. So life is what's happening in life, and that's why we have so many difficulties, so many lies, so many things going wrong when life is very simple. But you got to find out where you're going. You find out where you are. To find out where you are, you have to delve in things like, how was this world created? You have to ask the question daily, what is the purpose of life? And then all of a sudden you realize where you are. Now, once you find out the reasons why you forgot, now you know how to get to Boston. And if you know that, it's a whole different trip. And the last 12 action keys in this course, 5A, are about that. Very.
And how about after this? Do you got anything for us for after?
I'm working on the magnetism, the personal magnetism library of self-education, which is probably from 12 to 14 volumes. And I'm working on the 5th volume right now. That is not original with me. It's my expansion and revision of the works of Webster Edgerly on personal magnetism. Now, here's just thought of something else. The material in here, the 12 keys, I didn't discover them. They were discovered by Webster Edgerly. I just revised them a little bit because his concept was published in 1923, just his last work before he died. Now, it's beyond me. I can't understand why. From 1923 to the present, no, this stuff has been around. Why didn't they pick up and see the value of it? To me, this is the key that opens all doors. And if you get this, you can have money. Money comes to you just because you want to share yourself with the whole world and your teachings, whatever you do. So that's the way I feel about it. You don't have to follow organizations, you join groups. Everything is within you. It's there. Even computer problems, I go to sleep with them and I think, how do I fix that problem? And I don't always get an answer, but sometimes I do. In fact, probably I get an answer all the time. I'm just not aware enough of them to, let's say, all of them are not dramatic. Some are very dramatic. Yeah. So that's 5A is about deeper things about life, why we're here, and so forth. And then as you understand and accept those 12 concepts, those 12 keys, there is a transformation that happens. Now I'll tell you this. I studied that on his material in Los Angeles 30 years ago. I accepted 80% of it, but I could not accept the 20%. I was so full of myself, like we all have been taught to be on this planet. And so once I accepted the 20%, which is when this year, in January, when I started writing this course, I accepted it. And from that moment up to the present, up to last night, every day is a breakthrough. That's a fact.
So do you think you've put it in form that it hopefully won't take other people 20 years to
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. It was my duty. I felt that I have to put that in such a way that people can grasp it right away, so it doesn't take 20 years. That's a long time. But that's what is happening in life. Evolution itself, spiritual evolution, takes years like that. Because I had so full of lies. So I put this in such a way, it still requires thought, thinking. Not the kind of thought where you sit down contemplating your navel, ga 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 ga. No, I'm like Rudolf Steiner, who's one of my mentors also, along with Krishnamurti. Think you have a mind. Use it. And I discovered the more you will use your mind in discovering things that supposedly are mysteries, there grows a new sense through the continual use of your mind.
Well, it is our minds that make us different from everything else, right?
Well, animals think also,
Right, but they don't.
very little.
Yeah, they don't have a conscience,
Yeah.
so they don't have the.
Right, and all that is explained in here in the concepts. So, where was I? Because unfortunately, when you get beyond the physical realm, you get into a new realm, which has nothing to do with the physical realm. So it's difficult to adjust your mind to this other realm. How can there not be time and space? I mean, but when you get into the 12 keys, all that, you understand it first, and then as a result of that, a new process starts in here, a new ability, and that's, I would call that first ability, intuition. There are others more advanced, and so we can get to Boston.
There you go. That's important.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anytime. You helped me a great deal also because you ask a lot of questions. Makes me think.
Yeah, there you go.
Great.